One of the major challenges with breaststroke is timing, and the solution that we're going to go through today is called delay breaststroke to help athletes learn the timing. So, what needs to happen with timing when breaststrokers are swimming? So, the biggest thing is that they need to separate the arms and separate the legs. So, if we watch here, there's a pull and then a kick, a pull and then a kick. And then when the arms are pulling, the legs are in streamline, and when the legs are kicking, the arms are in streamline. And we can see the same thing here. It just happens with much less space between the two, and it happens at much higher rates. So again, there needs to be a separation of the arms and the legs. The pull should happen when the legs are in streamline, and the kick needs to happen when the arms are in streamline. And another big part of great timing is getting out of positions where a lot of drag and very little propulsion are created, getting out of those positions as fast as possible. And by separating the arms and the legs, it helps athletes do that. So why does it matter? Breaststroke creates more drag than all of the other strokes, and that's largely a result of underwater arm recoveries and underwater leg recoveries. So to create speed, really highly propulsive movements need to be paired with great alignment of the legs and the arms. And when that happens, the propulsion that's applied is going to be applied to a streamlined body, which is going to create a lot more speed. Otherwise, it's like hitting the brakes when you're trying to hit the gas. It's a lot more work and it doesn't create any speed. By separating these two movements, it also creates the opportunity and it allows athletes to get out of bad positions that are creating a lot of drag and allows them to do that really quickly. For instance, the legs can be recovered really quickly, then the arms and the head can be recovered really quickly after the breath. So effective timing lets athletes take advantage of the propulsion they're creating to create speed, and it also allows them to get out of bad positions fast. And that way, they can maximize propulsion and minimize drag, which ultimately will create the most speed. So the challenge with helping athletes learn effective timing is that it's incredibly nuanced. It's not really a concrete action that can be described as put your arm here. It's not so much what they do, but it's when they do it. As a result, it can be very difficult to describe what timing is, much less what an athlete needs to do to have or to execute effective timing. And if coaches are relying on feedback and instruction to help drive learning, that presents a challenge because it's going to be hard to describe what you want them to do or whether they did it and whether they were successful in executing what you wanted. Further, it can be very difficult to see these changes because they're often very subtle. To make matters even worse, timing changes. And so whether depending on the race distance, depending on how fast an athlete's swimming, depending on if it's the first quarter of a race versus the last quarter of a race, timing changes. And so that can make it even more difficult because there's not one timing that an athlete needs to master. They need to have flexible timing to be effective. And for all these reasons, great timing needs to be experienced rather than simply taught. So the strategy we're going to go over today is called delay breaststroke. It's a really great starting point for helping athletes understand the concepts and the key concepts of timing. And so timing changes with different speeds. So rather than trying to help athletes figure out the timing that they need to use, they need to figure out the principles of great timing. And once they can understand them and once they can feel them, they can then learn how to change them so that they can use them effectively in races. So the first step is to exaggerate the separation between the arms and the legs. You want to overdo it. There should be an arm action and then a separation, a delay, and then a leg action. And the more you overdo it, the more space you can create between those. It can help athletes feel that. Then it's a matter of bringing it back and shrinking the delay back down so that athletes can feel how shrinking that delay allows them to create speed. And so over time, they learn how to change gears by changing the degree of separation between the arms and the legs. When you do that in a variety of contexts, they learn how to manipulate their timing in order to create speed and do so while swimming efficiently. So this is a set that we're going to go over to help athletes use delay breaststroke in order to improve their timing. So they're going to go 425s to delay breaststroke, and what you want to do is you're going to have total separation between the arms and the legs. For the first two, use light resistance so that they can get a better feel for it, and then for the second two, you're going to use no resistance so they're swimming normally. Then, after they've experienced some separation, they're going to go into 4 rounds of a 50, where they go 25, 2 pulls, 1 kick, and then 25, 2 kicks, 1 pull. That's just to get a little bit more volume in, and by adding the extra pull and the extra kick, they're necessarily going to spend some time with separated arm actions and separated leg actions, and so it forces them to do it. Then on that 25, they're going to descend 1 to 4, and each time they're going to do so by shrinking the delay, not so much by picking up the effort, and using changes in timing in order to create speed. They're going to do that whole thing 3 times so they get plenty of exposure to working on figuring out what the delay feels like and then learning how to shrink it down in order to create speed.